We live in a world that loves to play the gotcha game. That's when a person will look so closely and so carefully at other people. They're just looking for something they can use to call them out, trying to find something that is in their life or even something that they just don't like about them, maybe even twisting a few things around to try to make something appear sinful in their life, even if that isn't how it really is. It's the gotcha game. The gotcha game is played in politics all the time. It seems to be something that is getting worse from one election cycle to the next. It's something that people play in neighborhoods, this idea of looking for something wrong in someone else so they have a little bit of gossip in the neighborhood. It's something people play in the workplace, trying to get a leg up on somebody else, trying to be viewed as being ahead of or before someone else. The gotcha game is even played in families. Some people use it to try to keep others in line. And even in congregations of the Lord's church, there are people who try to play the gotcha game for some of these same reasons that we have seen. You know, we see it as we open our Bibles to the book of Luke chapter 6, verses 6 through 11. Here we find the scribes and Pharisees were playing the gotcha game, looking so carefully at Jesus. Luke chapter 6, beginning with verse 6. Now it happened on another Sabbath also that he entered the synagogue and taught. And a man was there whose right hand was withered. So the scribes and Pharisees watched him closely, whether he would heal on the Sabbath, that they might find an accusation against him. But he knew their thoughts, and said to the man who had the withered hand, Arise and stand there. And he arose and stood. Then Jesus said to them, I will ask you one thing. Is it lawful on the Sabbath to do good or to do evil, to save life or to destroy? And when he had looked around at them all, he said to the man, Stretch out your hand. And he did so, and his hand was restored as whole as the other. But they were filled with rage and discussed with one another what they might do to Jesus. Think about this. We look at the scribes and the Pharisees here in Luke chapter 6. The same account is found elsewhere in the gospel accounts. But we see the scribes and the Pharisees here and we say, that's terrible. It's awful that they're just looking for a reason to accuse Jesus. They're just looking for something they can use against Jesus. And that's true. And if we are not careful, well, we may find ourselves playing that same gotcha game in our lives, in the relationships that we have. So what can we do about it? How can we prevent the gotcha game? Now, there are a lot of passages of the New Testament to which we could look that would certainly help us to not play the gotcha game. But for this devotional, I want us to focus on just one of those passages. Look in your Bible at Ephesians 4 and verse 29. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29, Paul wrote, Let no corrupt word proceed out of your mouth, but what is good for necessary edification, that it may impart grace to the hearers. Let no corrupt word proceed out of your mouth. Now that word for corrupt was a word that meant rotten, bad, worthless, even putrid. That's what it is when we use the gift of speech that God has given us incorrectly. It's corrupt, it's putrid in God's sight, and it should be in ours. So instead of a corrupt word, use words that are good for the necessary edification. It means to build up, construction. We should use our language, our words, to build others up. And then Paul adds this phrase, to impart grace to the hearers. The word for grace means, well, grace. It's favor, it's kindness. This is the grace of the New Testament. It's bringing grace into the lives of other people. And that's how we quit playing the gotcha game. Look for ways to build up other people, to encourage them, to show them that you love them. Impart grace into the lives of other people. Thank you for watching this devotional. We invite you to come and worship with us anytime that you are in Albuquerque. You will find a group of people who love Jesus, who are trying to live for Him, and who are glad that you stopped in to worship with us.